Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Will from Cars, Grilling and Technology. And well, YouTube, as promised, we are doing a 6-month review of my 2022 Rapid Blue C8 Corvette convertible. Can't believe that it's been 6 months already. Seems like when you're waiting for one of these cars, the wait takes forever. And you know, you're like losing sleep and wondering if there's gonna be a plant shut down. But I swear, as soon as I picked up this car, it seems like time has just been flying by. We're gonna do a quick walk around the outside of the car. Then we're gonna go over all of the accessories that we've added. And then we'll go into the interior of the car, go over some things there. Then we'll go on a test ride. And I will tell you the 2 things I don't like about the car. Yes, there are 2 things. They're very minor, but they are still kind of irritating. So stay tuned. Go for a quick ride here. I'd like to have the car in my mode. Sometimes I put it in Z mode, but I have this set up where I get a pretty good exhaust sound, and I just seem to like that a little bit better. So, you know, a lot of people say that when you first get the car, that the square steering wheel is weird, but I got this car at Sioka in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is about a 500-mile ride for me, and I got used to the steering wheel immediately, so it wasn't weird or anything. But I don't know how much of the engine you can hear, but this thing, even if you're not going fast, this motor just sounds amazing. So being on the inside of the car, as you can see, that I have the Sky Cool Gray interior. We'll show some more shots of that, but I went with the Sky Cool Gray because I thought that there were just too many color options and choices as far as interiors go to just go with black. You know, black is cool, black never looks bad, but having all the different choices, I thought the Sky Cool Gray was a good fit for me, somewhat. I'll talk about that a little bit later. For doing the Twilight blue seats, you see a lot of Rapid Blue owners chose that seat combination, but for me it was not worth the extra $3,000 or $4,000 to go to 3LT just to get that color combination. I am fine with what I got. I am just as happy with this as I would have been with the Twilight blue, especially with the extra money in my pocket. So some people might not agree with that. Some people would have said, you know, you're already spending this much money, go ahead and get exactly what you wanted. And I feel like with the Sky Cool Gray, I did get exactly what I wanted. Along with the side extensions, I also opted for the mud flaps. These are the extra large ones. When I first got them, I was a little bit concerned, thinking they were going to be too big and they were going to stick out too far. But I actually think they come out a perfect amount, because you can barely notice them. I mean, you can tell there are mud flaps on there, but it's not like that's something that someone's going to look at the car and say, oh, it's got mud flaps. So I think that's a nice added touch and gives you a little bit of extra protection. And coming around the front, this is probably one of my favorite additions, where I've got the front end splitter. Like I said, not being a Z51 car, I liked the way that the splitters looked. So I did want to go ahead and get one of those for my car. It was nothing to put it on. And I tell people all the time jokingly that even though this is not a Z51, in a way it's kind of disguised as one, because I've got the spoiler and I've got the front splitter. Now some people will say, well, not really, because the calipers are different, so on and so forth. But you know, most people will understand where I'm coming from. But this is everything I've done on the outside of the car. I was thinking about doing rims. To be honest with you, and I like the way the car looks like it does. Of course, rims always add to a car. But to be honest with you, I've had experiences where I've had issue with aftermarket wheels. Even if it's a wheel that they say is for the car, usually down the road, I have issues. I had a Porsche Cayenne that had aftermarket wheels on it that were the right ones for the car, but after about 5 years, I had nothing but problems out of them. So I might get some rims later on, but unless a new accessory comes out that really blows me away, then I'm basically done on the outside of the car. The only accessory that I'm thinking that I would love to buy, depending on when they come out and how much they are, is I've seen some people that have had a clear cover over the engine, because one of the downsides people say with the convertible is that you can't see the engine. So when it has the clear cover, you can still see the engine, and people are getting their engines dressed up. So I thought that might be pretty cool, depending on how much that's going to cost. But this is a 2022. It is a 2LT. It has front end lift, and it does have the black roof and the black nacelles. I really wanted to definitely have the black roof. I just thought it kind of accents the car, and it kind of lets people know that if they know what a Corvette is, with the black, I think it makes it stand out as a convertible versus just the coupe. And for me, in my journey, for me, it was convertible or bust. You know, fortunately, I was able to get a 2LT and got every feature that I wanted on the car. There's not one thing that I wanted on the car that I did not get, even though it adds up pretty quickly, but I sprung for everything that I wanted on the car. But even if I would have had to go down to a 1LT for financial reasons, as long as it was a convertible, I would have been fine with that, because a 1LT still comes with a lot of options. I think for me, the 2LT decision came where if you've ever had a car that has some of the extra options that a 2LT has, you want to have them. Like, for instance, the backup camera that gives you side warnings, that if you're backing out and a car is coming, it'll warn you. Then also you get the camera system. Now with the convertible, you will still get the roof camera, but you won't get the PDR. I've never had a car with a PDR recorder, so I thought it would be cool to have it. And I've had a couple of rental cars that had a heads-up display, so the heads-up display in the 2LT was very appealing to me. So that's one of the reasons why I did that. We're going to go on the inside of the car. Not really a lot of accessories on the inside, but we did do a video about the lighted door sills. And this is one of the things they say about the lighted door sills, is that they don't always work, which is a situation we're having here. One thing I'll say is I still don't regret buying them, because I think the Stingray, this looks kind of cool. We're going to go on the other side and see if that one will work. So bear with me. But see, that one came on. So it might be, because of how they work, these are battery operated. They're not connected to anything electrical. And there's some activation tape underneath here. So it might be that since I just got out of the car from driving it, that the light didn't reset, or I didn't give it enough time to reset, which might be why it did not light up like it should. Something else that I love about the car is the fact that you do have two trunks. This is my second Corvette. I had a 1990 convertible that had no trunk space at all. It just had the storage space behind the seat, and that was it. You could barely get a good sized briefcase back there, and you could really not even put an overnight bag. So the fact that this car has got two trunks is just amazing to me. If you come up to the first trunk, you still got some good space in here. I've got a few papers in here. But this is good if you're going like to get some minor groceries, not anything gigantic. But I've never had a situation where I bought something that wouldn't fit in the car. And it's kind of like a little bit of a common sense thing that if you know you're in the Corvette, then you know you can't go crazy with your shopping. And then the back trunk, I was a little bit concerned that putting stuff in and out of the trunk with the high wing would be a problem, but it's really not. Only time it's an issue is if it's something that's really heavy, but I've never, you know, hit anything on this or scratched it up. And I forgot to mention that I've got the all-weather mats in the back, and I've also got the all-weather mats in the front. One thing I'll say that I'm not a big fan of, and this is not one of the things I was talking about earlier, is you have to use both of your hands and press down on the trunk, the front trunk rather. You know, the less you touch your car, the less likely you are to scratch it. So they've got something built in that anytime you want to close the trunk, you're using the palm of your hand on the trunk to push it down. I'm just fearful, even though this car has been ceramic coated, I forgot to mention that, we got it ceramic coated about a week after we got it, that it's still going to be susceptible to having unnecessary scratches just because of the way you have to close the hood. I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand here. I was able to do it that way, but that's just a lot of extra touching, in my opinion, on the hood. So now we're going to go inside the car. Tell you what though, this never gets old. Seems like every time I drive this car, even before the weather got warm and you could put the top down like this, just walking to the car and hitting that remote and getting that motor to start is just an adrenaline rush. I'll meet you inside the car. And as you see, it lit up that time. So I just think it was just a timing issue where I didn't give it a chance to reset. When I opened the door this time, it lit right up. This car by no means is a garage queen. I don't know if this is going to show up, but I got this car the 17th of November and I've got 3,595 miles on the car. I waited this long and spent this much money because I wanted to drive the car. I don't want it to be something that I just show friends and sitting in my garage, say how pretty it is. I want to enjoy the car. The wall of buttons, as people call it, people said that they thought it was weird and it looked out of place. I think it's pretty cool. I just kind of like the fact that, you know, you have all the controls right here, and it doesn't bother me at all. You know, it said it isolates the passenger, but I don't really think it does. I mean, there's nothing that a passenger would really be touching or doing in this area anyway, so I don't think it's an issue. But let me tell you the two things that I don't like about the car, and they're both related. So here on the steering wheel, you've got the volume up and down buttons. I really wish that these went in both directions. So if you want to raise the volume, you have to reach behind the steering wheel and use that button. And if you want to lower the volume, you've got to reach behind it and do that. I would love for these to be movable in both directions, that if I'm driving it like this, I want to raise it, I could, and if I want to lower it, I could there, instead of having to reach behind. The other thing I don't like is the fact that to mute the radio, you have to touch the volume button up here. And this car gets so much attention. You always have people at red lights asking you questions. You don't want to be rude and act like you're ignoring them, but it takes you a minute to reach up and turn the volume down so you can hear them. I would love for there to be a feature that you could maybe hit both of these at the same time and it would mute the volume. I would love for something like that to be put into the car. Maybe that's something that could be a software update, but I don't know. But those are my two biggest things I don't like about the car. Is I wish these controls were a little more flexible, that you could do the volume up or down by pushing either side of the button, and that there was a mute button worked in here somewhere. Like I said, I think hitting both of these at the same time would be perfect. Now that I've gone through some of the basic features of the car, because I didn't want this to be like a really, really long review video, but I have a confession to make, is that I have not launched this car one time. I have not done launch control. You have a lot of videos where people are doing launch control, having their friends in the car to get their reaction. After 6 months, I have not done a launch control. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the 6-month review video. But like I've been saying, I love the car. People always say it was worth the wait, and I would say it was worth the wait. But, you know, over a year to wait for a car is still a long time. And in case you haven't noticed, I did this video a little bit later than 6 months. I recorded most of it at the 6 months, but I'm just now getting the video up. And as you can see, that it has different wheels on the car. They're not really different wheels, but I had the ones, this is called Black Ice from a company called Wheelcraft, which is in Mentor, Ohio. I did a preview video of their outfit and how they do things as far as prepping the wheels and everything. And I'm also doing a video of the actual installation of these wheels. But it's an exchange thing where they take your wheels and then, you know, you have several different choices. I went with the Black Ice. I mean, I think it looks really good on the car. I don't know how much of a view you can get with the, you know, the reflectiveness of this, but it's really like a black chrome wheel, and I just think it makes the car look mean and aggressive. But as far as the 6-month review, I mean, it's been a great car. I mean, you know, people, you know, love these cars. You know, you wait a long time to get it. My only advice to people is, come on, if you got one of these things, drive the doggone car. I mean, it just looks boring just having the car sit in the garage. So I'm going to enjoy this car even in the winter. Like I said, I got it the middle of November, and all winter, if it wasn't snowing, I was driving this car. You know, I didn't care. You know, I was in the car driving it and enjoying it. You know, I can always close my garage door and put on a heater and wash it if I have to. But I enjoyed my car. I mean, all winter, if it wasn't snowing, I was driving it. So that's my review. Thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe to the channel. I also want to mention too that some of the videos was recorded before now, and I mentioned that the one thing that I would get if it came out was a clear engine cover, and in fact, since then, one has came out that has been installed on this car. So underneath here, we do have a clear engine cover. There is a video that I've done about the clear engine cover, and also prepping the engine cover that I put on, because the convertible doesn't come with a fancy engine cover. So I'm going to put a link to both of those videos in the description. But man, after 6 months, man, I wouldn't change a thing about this car. You know, I love everything about it. And if you're waiting for one, I mean, I feel for you. You know, you're having people saying, oh, well, I got mine after 4 months, or I got mine after 3 months. That's not normal. Great for them. But if you're waiting for a car, I feel for you, and just hang in there, because eventually it's going to come for you. And when it comes, you're going to really enjoy it. So thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.